there from the past a few years, I started stepping out in terms of spreading awareness about genetic diseases and other community-based programs. So what the kind of experience what I face when it comes to in a workspace is that even we were running in a very fast pace where even though we had a lot of technology in our hand, I did find a lot of difficult to find work-based, home-based jobs. But life has been so kind to me, and I feel everything just happens as a miracle. And once if we don't lose our hope, or maybe stop cribbing with the situation and think in a space where things will be fine at some point of time, this brings in the color, I would say, because there are times when I really stuck in my career. I was actually put down to get some opportunities in regard of writing. And so I feel now this is a space for all of us to understand and pause within ourselves that it's a realization for each of us that in whatever way we are in, there is a lot of possibilities in connecting with people and generating more opportunities. But this would definitely happen when we think in a perspective of possibilities and not in a perspective of struggles.
Right, Dhanya, that's a beautiful perspective that you've put out for us out there. We've always admired your unshattering spirits. Dhanya, tell us more about what could people do during this time to make it more fruitful. What would you have to advise people about how to spend their time in a worthy way?
So very recently on my social media, I've put down a video which says about how I spend my quarantine life for more than 3 decades. So on my days in my room, I always learn new things, tried new things, connected with people through online or maybe through the phone calls, learned a lot of new things. So I feel this is a time to be within ourselves and understand more on ourselves, work on it, engage. It's important that to engage ourselves in a space where you actually open with your passion and work on what you really wanted to do all these years. Because from the past at least few years, we have seen people, in fact, literally not having a time to sip a cup of coffee from home. Rather, they do it on the way. We were running in such a fast pace, and now let's sit back and enjoy the taste of a coffee, I would say, and work on some exercises on our own and spend some quality time within yourself, reflect, and let's go beyond our life and put some target goals that after a few weeks of time, what is that we can work on.
That's so nice, Dhanya.
And as a disability evangelist, Dhanya, you deal with, or rather you are a guiding force for so many specially abled people. Tell us how have the rest of the specially abled people tried and dealt with this? I think especially able people are much more capable of handling crisis because they have gone through a series of ups and downs in their lives compared to other people like us, perhaps. What would you have to, what's the angle from their side as to what could be done?
So Shama, the thing is, what I've gone through or what I've experienced is that this whole will has generated with the struggles of what we have went through. So I, as a person, there's a lot of struggles that I went through, and if the kind of spirit or the positive thing or the willpower or whatever you call it as, this all came from a suffering, and the whole struggle that these days at this crisis, what we go through is most of us are dependent on someone on the other, and now this has been a huge issue in our end, I would say, because the caretaker should make sure that he or she is managing herself in a hygienic way and things doesn't go worse with us. And there are some conditions like thalassemia and other such rare conditions where they require at least 2 to 3 times to visit in the hospital. So these has been a crisis literally. So I think from a hospital fraternity, I think we need to work on this in terms of getting the hospital to home, where the volunteers and the government work favorable for us. But in other way, I really believe that um, the world is better made when we work within ourselves, and this too shall pass. And I think the sacrifice in terms of keeping ourselves safe and isolated is with a love within ourselves and the love to our family and society.
That's so beautifully summed up,
That's right.
Dhanya. Thank you so much. But for the sake of our viewers,
Yeah,
Dhanya Ravi has brittle bone disease, or it's a genetic disorder where your
that's right.
bones are
Yeah,
so fragile that it can
fragile.
crack
Yep.
even by a normal touch.
Yep.
And she's gone through a lot, and it's a
Yeah.
condition by birth. And
Yep.
Dhanya has gone through
A
multiple
lot. Yeah.
fractures throughout her life, and yet faced it so bravely and put out such a beautiful, smiling, positive face that the whole world can be inspired from. And that is why we have her on our show
That's
today.
right. I have a question for Dhanya. Like,
Yeah,
how
please.
do you keep up your positivity? Like, do you think you need any training or you need any help to keep up that positivity? Or even, the people outside there who doesn't have any issues at all, they struggle to get that positivity going. So, do you have any advice for them?
I think we all have a purpose in our life, and maybe I too have a purpose. And my journey is meant to be this way, and I feel there is no point in crying out why. I never woke up any day asking why my legs are bent or why my hands are having a lot of ups and downs. The bone different design, I definitely call it as a divine design, but I really find that from each pain or each struggle, there is a lot of purpose in it, and we don't have to look out for the reason why it happened. Rather, let's see that how we can cope with this pain and how we can battle this. After all, we have a generations where all of us have been a warrior, and this is my little life where I'm just fighting in a very humble way.
That's very nice. Your attitude towards that is, really nice.
Dhanya, you've actually proved with your life that physical disability or impairment is can be absolutely nothing as long as the mind is strong. And I think we are all going through a situation where we have a crisis, which we can deal with if we are mentally much prepared and ready for. Tell us, how is the rest of your family members taking it? Because they are usually used to moving around, and they having been, being asked to be confined. And especially, we understand that in India it's a lockdown situation, so there is absolutely no going out. Um, and you are quite a celebrity these days. I know that you have been traveling the world around, giving motivational talks. Has this situation affected any of your trips? Have you had to cancel any of your recent events?
Yes. So coming to my family, I would say that my father is a person who I have hardly seen at home. I see him either when I'm hospitalized next to my bed, or maybe in home whenever during the food breaks he comes and have my mom cook food. So these are the times I see him. And now it's kind of a great game for him. I would say he's at home all 24 bar 7. And I really believe that when I share to the world about my quarantine life journey, he himself is like a little bit surprised, and he is like having no words on how can he do that. But this particular situation has made me understand that we were in a generation where we really took life for granted and believe that any medicine, especially this antibiotic which has come up, and these kind of medicines can heal anything, and it has proved that life is much beyond that, and there are things that we don't have control. So let this all be a lesson for each of us, that now we have seen that it's not just my father who's at home who has been busy all the while, but coming from a very powerful, a very in a very legendary or even in a political level, persons have been affected with this pandemic condition. So it's in a space where we all need to reflect within ourselves that the world is very small and there are things that we don't have control, but we have always seen heroes, and let's continue in creating the same.
That's nice, Dhanya. My question is how you going to sort of deliver this inspirational talk now on moving forward, like for at least for another 6 months? Are you going to do it online or any plans on that?
Yeah, so from me, actually, I would take it in a very positive sense. Yeah, I just missed to answer to one of Shama's question is that, yeah, I did actually, yeah, I stay in Bangalore and I came to Kerala for actually 2, 3 events. Unfortunately, I was able to attend only one, and the rest of it was cancelled in terms of safety and precautions of this coronavirus. So there are events which has been cancelled in that way. Now let us take it in a perspective that it's not everything that has to be in terms of at office or in the room or anything. There are possibilities in our space. Right now we are connecting from Kerala to Australia, so which itself is a
Yes.
possibilities that no matter what it is, we can get connected. So based on our purposes, let's build more opportunities and startup businesses in a space where it empower more marginalized community as well. It's time to think in for every role, for every situational of leaders to understand that let's connect it in a very positive way, and let's not stick up with certain rules, yet let's be more flexible and engage every citizen in our country with the way what they can do to the best.
That's good.
Dhanya, from taking inspiration from what you just said, if I have to say fear is the biggest impairment, would you agree to that?
Definitely.
All right. And what do you think is
You need to
the
meet it. You need to meet it.
sorry, what was that?
We need to meet that point.
Yes,
Right, in
for
fact,
sure.
yes.
Yes, very
And
good point.
tell us, if fear is the biggest impairment, what would be our biggest strength?
Accepting it.
Accepting it.
Yeah, so I'll just share one of my recent experience that I was actually hospitalized in an intensive care unit a few months ago for almost 10 days. So when I was just completing the fourth or fifth day, one of the one person next to me came as a new patient, and she was almost the same age of mine, and she just lay down on her bed and she started waving at me, and she said, Danielle, I think we both are coming from the same state, and you know what, I feel so strange. I just somehow want to get back home. She has just been 2 hours of time that she came over there, and I just laughed to myself that I've been here for almost 4 days, and I never thought about such thing. So I feel these kind of struggles or maybe this uncertainty in life is not in a space where you come up with a complaint. Rather, take it the way it is, and let's spend some time with ourselves and build more joy within us, and probably our body also need that break. And let's take this any situation in life as not something impossible or as a greatest pain. I know certain things are of a big pain, the kind of people that we lost in our country and in other countries is a huge pain or huge regret that we cannot take it back. But certain breaks and certain pauses are needed, and let all this be a learning lesson for each of us who actually don't enjoy our life. And at least we are really running in a space where we don't know what the other person in our family is going through. So let's take a pause in all these aspects and work on it.
That is so beautiful, Dhanya. I hope and
Yeah,
trust that the positivity and the happiness that you keep spreading around keeps floating from one person to the other. And
yeah,
we all continue to start looking at our inner selves, identify our true calling,
that's right. Yeah,
and start working towards that. Now is the best time to contemplate. And you have just helped our viewers to start looking inwards.
that's right.
Um,
It's so inspirational, Dhanya. Like like it's with your condition, you keeping so much positivity around you and within you. So it's a inspiration for all the viewers.
Thank you once again for motivating us and our viewers.
Yeah, thank you, Dhanya.
Those who would like to connect to Dhanya, Dhanya, could you please help us with your page?
I have a blog, and my Facebook handle is Dhanya Ravi, and the blog is dhanyaravi.wordpress.com.
We'll look forward
Okay.
to connecting more with you. And
Yep.
thank you so much for coming on
Thank you so
M4TV.
much. Wishing
Thank
all a
you.
very speedy recovery, and spend more time and with yourself with self love and a gentle reminder to establish more compassion to ourselves and to the Mother Earth. Thank you.
Lots of love from
Yep.
Australia to you too, Dhanya.
Thank you. Take care.
Good
Thank
luck.
you. Bye
Goodbye.
bye.
Oh, what a shot this is!
കോഹ്ലി 87 ഡബിൾ സെഞ്ചുറി അടിക്കുന്നു.